everyone, Chris here and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to bring to you my TBR for the Reindeer Readathon. So I participated in this last year and I really enjoyed it, and this year I am on Team Snowflake because the teams are completely randomized. There are prompts for each of the reindeer and then bonus prompts that have to be used in combination with the reindeer prompts. And you get points for each of the prompts, and the team with the most points wins. I really enjoyed participating last year, and I'm very excited to be participating again this year. So our first prompt is for Dasher, and for this we had to look at a word search and pick out 5 words. And from those 5 words, we had to find a book to put on our TBR that contained at least one of those words. My words were Queen, Storm, Secret, Gold, and Assassin. And I decided that for this, I was going to read Secrets of the Clans by Aaron Hunter. This was pretty much the only book I owned that had one of those words in it, and I was really trying to focus on books I owned if at all possible. This is a field guide in the Warrior series. It is one of the few books I have yet to read, so it felt like a perfect time to put it on my TBR, and like fate was going, you will have an Aaron Hunter book this month. Then for Dancer, we need to read a book whose title is at least 5 words long. And I'm going to be reading The Multiplying Mysteries of Mount 10. There's definitely more than 10 words in this. And this is a mystery. And this follows Esther, who wants to go to an art camp, but when her stepdad gets lost heading to the camp during a storm, she ends up at a math camp. Once there, she tackles an impossible brain teaser and manages to solve it in a single day. But unfortunately, not everybody is happy about it, and somebody starts threatening her, and she has to put the pieces together to figure out who is threatening her and why. I am quite looking forward to this, and it sounds like it's going to be quite the interesting novel with a mystery twist. And I'm curious to see what life is like at the math camp and how Esther manages to fit in. Then for Prancer, we need to read a book that is set in a place we've never been to before, and for this, I'm going to read Bookshops and Bone Dust, as this is set in a fantasy world, and that counts as a place I've never been to before. This is the prequel to Legends and Lattes. I absolutely adored that book, and this is one of my most anticipated reads for the rest of the year. And we're following Viv, who is an orc, and like I said, I really, really loved the first one. It was my introduction to cozy fantasy, and I'm assuming this one is going to have all of those same cozy vibes, so I'm very excited to be reading it. Then, for Vixen, we need to read a book we've been putting off, and I have gone with Until the End. This is the last book in the Skullduggery Pleasant series. I have been putting this off for months. I believe that books 12, 13, and 14 were very 3-star, and I struggled to get through them. Not that I didn't end up enjoying them, they just didn't inspire me to pick them up, and I've kind of burnt out on the series. And I've had this out of the library. I really, really need to get to it, and I just keep putting it off. So with a prompt like read a book you've been putting off, it felt like a no-brainer to stick this one on here, because that's exactly what I've been doing, and I'm going to need something to give me that extra oomph to finally read this. Next, you need to read a book that starts with the same letter as your star sign, and I am a Pisces, so I will be reading Purloined Poinsettia. This is the 4th book in the Mott's Cold Case Mystery series. This is another one I've put off, but that was intentional because it is set at Christmas time, and I wanted to read it at Christmas time. So I was planning to get to it this month regardless, and this just seemed perfect because I didn't have a lot to choose from with P's, and then I remembered that I wanted to read this book, so it's a perfect fit. For Cupid, we're going to need to read a book with multiple POVs, and I'm going with Fight and Flight. This is following Avery, who has been diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a disease that affects her joints, and it really makes it so she can't do what she loves. For instance, dirt biking, which resulted in a wipeout that required surgery, so she's struggling with that. And then Sarah is struggling with intense panic attacks that she's been having ever since her aunt died. And both girls are going to be reaching the peak of anxiety about their futures when their school is seemingly attacked, but it was only a drill. They only learn that later, though. And this traumatic experience bonds them. So we're going to see things from both of the girls' point of view. I'm very curious about this book. I've read something by Jules Macias before and really loved it. So I'm hoping I love this one as well. Then for Donner, we need to read a book with multiple animals on the cover, and I'm going to read The Pomeranian Always Barks Twice. This is a cozy mystery. And it says, with a veterinarian dad and a pet rescuing mom, helping animals is a family business for the Dentons. But after a shocking murder, it's Liz Denton's son who might end up in a cage. So sounds like mom is going to be setting out to prove that her son didn't commit this murder. I'm always down to have more cozy mysteries on my shelf, and this one has been on there for a while, so I thought it was time to get to it. And it works because look at all of the cute little animals on the cover. So next up is Blitzen. And for Blitzen, we have to roll a die, and whatever number comes up, the page count needs to be higher than the 100 multiple. So if you roll a 3, you need to read a book that's over 300 pages. And I haven't done my roll yet because I thought we could roll together and see what I was going to read. So we're going to turn you over here so that you can see my dice. We'll give this a roll. 600. So that means I need to read a book that is over 600 pages. Not what I wanted. So, a book I have on my TBR is The Bone Shard War. It is the third book in a trilogy, and I have requested a copy from my library, and it looks like, according to Goodreads, that it is over 600 pages. I obviously do not have the physical copy because, like I said, I just requested it from the library today. So, I'm hoping that it will actually be over 600 pages. If not, I will have to pivot and come up with something else. One likely option if I end up pivoting would be The Fires of Heaven by Robert Jordan. I am waiting on the audiobook. It depends on whether the audiobook comes in because I cannot handle reading these books without an audiobook. There's just way too much going on, and I need to be able to do something because as much as I like this series, it is not one that sucks me in and allows me to read without the audiobook as well, especially when I'm anxious and my concentration isn't the best. So this is a possibility. Otherwise, I'm not quite sure what I would go with. Off the top of my head, I would have to look. So we're really going to hope that the Bone Shard War comes in from the library and is indeed over 600 pages. If not, check out my vlogs because I will obviously be swapping this out for one that is, but I'm going based off what Goodreads is saying for the page count. And then for Rudolph, our last reindeer, we need to either read a book that was published before you were born or read a book that was published in 2023. And I'm going to be reading Ballet Shoes by Noelle Streatfeild. And this was published in 1937. Well before I was born. It is a middle grade that follows 3 orphans who are going to be joining the Children's Academy of Dancing and Stage Training and trying to make a name for themselves and kind of follow their dreams. So we will see if I enjoy this, but it is definitely published way before I was born. Which brings me to our bonus prompts. Again, these have to be in conjunction with books that are already on your TBR. So, for Christmas Star, you need to read a book that's over 500 pages, and I'm going to be going with Until the End by Derek Landy. This is .647 pages, so well over the 500-page mark, so I can check off my first bonus prompt. Then, for Christmas Lights, I need to read an ebook, and I'm going to be reading Purloined Poinsettia for this, because I'm going to be reading the ebook of that. That's the only way I can get it, so seems like a no-brainer there. For Christmas Carols, I need to listen to an audiobook, and I'm going to be listening to the audiobook of Fight and Flight. Even though I have the physical book, I will definitely be listening to the audiobook as well. And there is even a chance that I just listen to the audiobook. It depends on what I'm doing at the time, but this is one of the books I happen to have an audiobook of. For Christmas Tree, I need to read a book I wouldn't normally go for, so I'm going to use my Rudolph book, Ballet Shoes, because this isn't a book that I would normally be drawn to. I'm reading it as part of the middle grade March book club pick, and therefore it is not a book I would typically pick up all on my own, so it feels like a book I wouldn't normally go for. And for the last of our double up prompts, we need to read Christmas Elf And for that, we need to read a TBR vet, so I will be reading The Pomeranian Always Barks Twice. I've had this for more years than I can possibly know. I got it sometime before I got back in BookTube in 2018, and I had no idea how long it's been sitting in my house. There's actually, let me see, there is some sort of receipt in here that I think my mom was using as a bookmark because she read it. Let's see if the receipt in here has a date on it that will give me a time frame as to, you know, maybe when I got this book. Ooh, this one's 2019. That's surprising. I thought I had had this longer. Apparently, my mom was reading this in 2019 and never finished it. I can tell you I've had it longer than that. I definitely know I didn't get it in 2019. I don't know when I got it, but I've had it longer than like 4 years. So either way, it is still one of the books I have owned the longest, so it is a very good choice for TBR vet. That leaves us with the final prompt, which we can only do if we've completed every single other prompt on the board, and that is slaying it. And if I manage to get this far, I'm going to read the post box at the North Pole. And the slaying it prompt is to repeat any of the prompts that you already did. And this would obviously cover the prompt at least 5 words in the title. This is a Christmas romance. I don't really know much more about it. I know I read one of this author's books last year, and it definitely gave me those like Christmas holiday romance movie vibes, which is exactly the kind of holiday romance books I'm looking for. So I'm hoping this one will fit the bill as well. So there you have it. That is my TBR for the Reindeer Readathon. Are you participating? If so, what team are you on? Let me know in the comments section below. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me snowflake emojis for Team Snowflake. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!